It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. Aaron Lehman is here. I'm assuming you're representing Family Promise this time, right?
This time.
Okay.
Next time, maybe Parks and Rec.
You never know with that guy. And with him this morning, Laura Doherty and Kia Crone. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
It's good to have everybody with us here today. Aaron, Family Promise of Indiana County, great organization. What's going on?
So we're having our Day of Giving today.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that was cool about last year is, so we're in Northeast region, and we're trying to raise money, of course, and we actually raised more money than a lot of the bigger cities last year. So I'm hoping we can do that again because we're just Indiana County, but we're beating Boston, we're beating a lot of the other cities. So we need people to come and donate and, just make it so we can continue to do what we do, which is help homeless families and bring dignity back to their lives and make sure that kids are having, stability and everything else that we do.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, that's a long-term mission as well. I've been here for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let's find out about Laura and Kia and your role in all of this, ladies. Good morning again.
Good morning. I'm actually secretary of the board for the Family Promise. I'm originally from Indiana County, but I spent 25 years of my life away from the area in a suburb of Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And in that area, homelessness was very visible. However, when I moved back here, it's not something you see. It's not visible to us.
It's different. It's a different kind of homelessness.
It absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, it's not common to see like the tent cities that I would have seen in the city, but it does exist even though we can't see it here in this area. And that's one thing that I've learned, and it's really been intriguing to join the board to help support this cause because it is a huge need in this area, even though it's not something we see visibly on the street.
Yeah. Kia, what about you? Let's get you a little closer to the microphone first. There we go.
Thanks again for having me. Having come through the program at Family Promise, I think that it's great to give the opportunity to share my story. A lot of times, like Laura just mentioned, the typical homeless person does not look like what I'm used to in bigger cities. However, it does exist, and I thank God for Family Promise because it was a light of hope in a world of darkness. And I hope that people continue to use that program because it's not an ordinary shelter. It's a setup for future as well as, the hopeless becomes the helpful, the hopeful, and the depressed become less depressed. The homeowner eventually comes after you're homeless. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity to give back because I know what was given to me so freely. And that's why Giving Day is so important because in order to have these programs or things to keep running, we do need funds to keep running. So I thank you for the opportunity to share my story.
So you were in that situation. You were looking for a home.
I was. And like I said, pride and all that stuff would get in the way. But it was a humbling experience to ask for help because I opened up doors that I couldn't even imagine at that time. So not only that, but I graduated from the program in September, and I am on the right track. I work for a nonprofit as well to help those who are now homeless or they need employment and stuff like that. So like these programs are important to keep running because I know since COVID, a lot of these programs have run out of funds. So, so continue to keep giving to the nonprofits in the area because it does make a difference.
Yeah, it's interesting, Aaron. You brought up the name Boston, and I remember a couple years ago being in Boston, and there in that wonderful park that everybody goes to when they get to Boston. There were areas where you couldn't even see the ground because of all of the homeless people who were there, and they were living on blankets. And I'm thinking, it's Boston in the middle of summer, and it's about a zillion degrees out here. And in the wintertime in Boston, that's no fun at all. And yet those folks, they all have to find a place to stay. Mm-hmm. And in the summertime, they might stay out in a driving rainstorm because, well, that's where I am right now.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's where my possessions are. It does look different in Indiana County. A homeless situation might be somebody who is bunking in with somebody and staying on their couch for a week or so, or there are any number of different situations. So, how does Family Promise work, and how can people give on this day of giving?
Right, so basically, we take homeless families and we give them stability. Now, one of the things, and we also give them a mailbox. Now, I've talked about that before, but it really, when I talked to the housing program, it really hit home. What happens is, if you're going to get housing, if you're going to get Section 8 housing, you're going to need to have a mailbox to get it. So what happens is, if you're living with another family, you're couch surfing, and let's say a week before that letter comes, you have 10 days to respond. They no longer want you there. Then it's going to come. You're not going to see it. There's one person that a week later might have had a housing and now they don't. We give people a mailbox of Family Promise so they can get that housing letter, and then they can respond within 10 days, and we help them do that. And we help them manage money. So when they do get into the Section 8 housing, they know how to manage money. They know what wants and needs are. I use the example when the $600 stimulus came out, Walmart was selling 5 TVs for $5.99 and below. We would teach people that that's a want. A need is to have electricity in 3 months. And if you're not taught that, because a lot of schools aren't teaching that, and if your parents have not taught you that, how are you supposed to know? So we give that education. And then, of course, we use churches. And the churches provide role models, and they provide hosts that families can stay in the church and also support. They give food and everything else. But the congregations coming together and talking to families in the program is the other reason why, besides the financial literacy, that we have an 83% success rate, and we had 7 families go from homeless to a homeowner. So there's a lot of great things that we're doing, but we need to stay around. And the way to stay around is to make sure that we have enough money so our expenses are not greater than our income.
Yeah.
So monthly donations are great. You can go to Family Promise, IndianaCounty.com. You can go to the Day Center, 812 Marion Drive. Road. I'm sorry, 812 Marion Road. There you go.
Good assist, Laura.
Yeah. And across from the Community Guidance Center. You can also go on anybody's page. You can look it up, and we actually have individual day of giving pages, and we are all trying to get a certain amount of money individually. So you can see that on Facebook. You can go on the main Family Promise Facebook page. There'll be a link there. And today is the day that if we can get a lot of, if we can raise a lot of funds, of course that helps. But also it shows that Indiana County can compete with the Bostons, with the New Yorks, with those areas. And I know we can.
Yeah. Of course, competition is fun, and we enjoy competing, but there's a bottom line here, and the bottom line is you need the funding in order to continue the program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so people like Kia. Now, Kia is actually on our board now.
I am.
So, that was really an amazing thing. And the thing that's nice about that is, she brings an insight that we don't have. So it's like so it's been a phenomenal thing to have that. And that's one of the other ways that we're doing it. And Laura's been amazing coming on the board. And the other board members that we have are just, it's an amazing board, and all the people beforehand have made it so it's where we are now, which is great. Yes. And then, Carol's doing, her thing, and we have Jillian, who you'll meet at the Day Center if you drop a check off there. So it's just good.
Yeah. So Laura, as a member of the board, and as somebody who moved out of the area and is now back, you have insights, of course, on homelessness in other places and homelessness here, and yeah, it does look different. We've talked about that here this morning. But when you think about the people that you encounter in a homeless situation in Indiana County, what are the things that they need and they need now?
So I think the things that they need now is someone that is able to help support them and listen to what they need. Every family looks a little different. Through our application process, we're able to determine what the specific needs are for that given family. Sometimes they need maybe help with a utility bill, because some of our families are just one bill away from that slippery slope of experiencing homelessness. Some of our families might need things from our shelter store that they can come in and they can purchase for a nominal fee to wash their clothes or have good personal hygiene. Just really someone that's here to listen to them. But all of those things come at a cost as well. Like, we do have our shelter that we do have a family that is living there now. We also have our shelter store that needs to be replenished. We have volunteers that help with our center. One of the things that I know that is a specific need for Family Promise in general right now are two things. One, making our bathroom handicapped accessible, and also due to the recent flooding, we lost our dryer. So in order to help families with their laundry at this time, we are looking to replace that dryer. So if you have any ways in which we can help these families, those would be the most direct ways right now. The bathroom, our shelter store, and then also the dryer is a need at this time as well.
Yeah.
I think that with the decrease in funding, we're seeing more and more applications come into our center. So those families, like I said, will all have unique needs that are specific to them and their families.
Yeah, and we're running out of time. But Kia, I wanted to ask you, was there a moment during this whole experience when you said, finally, I've got the help I need and I can turn this thing around now?
Absolutely. It was the moment that somebody believed in me. Because a lot of times judgment comes with homelessness. And again, because it doesn't look like in other areas what it does look like here. So free of judgment, also room to grow, because I know I'm not perfect, as well as trying to get those fundamental things that Aaron talked about. The financial literacy is very important because I didn't grow in a home that had budgeting and stuff like that, as well as celebrating my wins. It was very important for me to move out and get my own place. That was a big accomplishment for me. And yes, that was one of the reasons why I joined the board. I'm so excited for what Family Promise has to offer in the future.
Very good. Very good. Day of Giving today, Aaron.
Yes, Day of Giving today.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, thanks all for coming in. We appreciate it.
And
Thank
thanks everybody listening too.
Thank you.
The voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. A minute away from 8.
Find your way to Luther Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram in Northern Cambria with a new Compass during the Jeep Celebration Month.